5 years ago, these items were flying off the shelves in my antique booth, but now they just sit. If you are still buying these items for your antique booth or your online store in 2026, then you are definitely going to want to stick around and watch this video. Now, I know that some of you are going to disagree with me on some of these items, and I think that we can do that in the comment section. I think healthy debate is just fine. Also, I should just give you a little bit of background information if you're new here. I have an antique booth in a brick and mortar store, and that store is located in Ellijay, Georgia, which is in the North Georgia mountains. The first thing that I want to share with you today that was selling for me but no longer is are the Corelle plates that were manufactured by Corelle specifically to match the Pyrex patterns. I have had these plates in the spring blossom, which I'm going to show you here. I've had them in the snowflake garland, and I've had them in the butterfly gold. So these are just no longer selling for me, and they are sitting and sitting. I will talk a little bit more about Pyrex in a minute because it also seems to be showing signs of cooling off for us. What is selling instead is surprising. I have been doing really well with blue and white china, and I had a bunch of this. This is Johnson Brothers, Ironstone, Coaching Scenes, Made in England, Hunting Country. This is what it says on the back. I'll show you what the stamp looks like here. I was surprised when these started flying off the shelves for me in the last month or two since I put them in the booth. These were a gift from a friend, and her daughters did not want this stuff, so she gave it to me for my antique booth. I don't have any of the dinner plates left. I have sold several of the cup and saucer sets, and I have sold, I think, one cream and sugar set that I had. All that I have left now is several saucers with no cups. So, I mean, it's selling so well. It was a surprise for me, and I even packaged up a bunch that had a little problem. This stuff is very delicate. And I had a couple of dinner plates that had a tiny chip on the edge or maybe a hairline fracture. And I just marked on the price tag as is, and they sold anyway. Of course, I reduced the price a little bit because of the problem. And the reason is that people just don't care if it has a tiny problem in it because they are displaying it and not eating off of it, is my guess. Okay, let's talk about Pyrex a little bit. One of my favorite topics and one of my favorite makers of vintage kitchenware. It's cooling off a little bit. It has been so hot and prices have been so inflated for so many years now, and now we're seeing it cool down quite a bit. It used to be that Pyrex in any pattern, as long as it was Pyrex, would just fly off the shelves for good prices, and we're just not seeing that anymore. I'm going to show you here a picture of the Pyrex pattern homestead. This is an example of a pattern that is not super popular. I had a mixing bowl in this pattern, and it sat for quite a while in my booth before it finally sold for a very modest price. 5 years ago, any Pyrex, it didn't matter what the pattern was, flew off the shelves for me. All right, so if Pyrex is cooling off, what is selling? Surprisingly for me, it has been the CorningWare casseroles in pretty much any of the patterns. I'm doing well with blue cornflower, even though the market is flooded with it. I'm able to sell it quickly and for high prices. I'm doing well with the spice of life and the wildflower patterns. If you can find the friendship pattern, that is a lovely one. Even without a lid, the CorningWare casseroles are selling really well for me in the antique booth. This one is strange because this seems to have happened all of a sudden. At least this is what I'm experiencing. But colored glass seems to be slowing down and clear glass seems to be picking up. And it wasn't just me, because I worked at the antique store yesterday and I was asking my other friends who work there what they were experiencing. And I was specifically asking them for ideas for this video. And two of the ladies in there said colored glass was slowing down for them. So then I really got to thinking about it and thinking about the things that have been sitting in my booth for months. I have several pieces of Anchor Hocking Cobalt Blue that I have had in my booth sitting there for months, and also a nice pair of Cobalt Blue heavy hand-blown goblets that are vintage Pier 1. I also have some Mexican hand-blown green glass goblets in the grass green color that I just absolutely love. Can't seem to sell those. I have some ruby red Viking glassware that I have sold a couple pieces of it over the past maybe 2 or 3 years that I've had it, but the remainder of it just sits. These green teardrop hobnail vases, I've sold several of them, but now I have one in my booth that has just been sitting there for months. Now, strangely, what has sold, I sold 2 clear glass vintage Anchor Hocking vases in one day recently. And so I was encouraged to buy another one when I saw one at Goodwill. So I'm super interested to see if my new one is going to sell or if that was just a fluke. And the big question now that I'm getting kind of excited about is, will clear glass vintage vases surpass milk glass vases in their popularity? It's difficult to know until spring and summer, because milk glass vases are really popular for people who are planning for a wedding. They love to use them as a centerpiece on the dining tables at a wedding. And they will go into different, antique shops and pick up mismatched milk glass vases. So I'm super excited to see if the trend is going to shift for that type of decor toward clear glass and away from milk glass. Next up are fancy decanters. It used to be that every time I put one on the shelf, it sold within a week or two. And now I have several that have been sitting for a while. I believe that this is because people are sort of in a season of scaling down. Home prices are very high in the United States. Rent prices are very high in the United States. People aren't necessarily going to have a big hutch or even a trendy, mid-century modern inspired bar anymore. So they're not really looking for decorative pieces, but they are still looking for nice stemware that they actually use and don't just look at it. I've done well with the Autumn Leaves line, which is just an iconic mid-century Libby pattern. I have sold a bunch of that recently. Surprisingly, the smoky Libby, it's called Tawny Accent. I sold several pieces of that recently. And then I was surprised about this because I had a large collection of the Tiffin fancy fragile glasses with the gold around the trim at the top. That is called Rambling Rose or Rambler Rose. I was surprised when all of that sold really quickly for me. So that is what I'm seeing, is that people are still interested in stemware that they're actually going to use and not interested in the fancy decanters, which are more used for just decoration. Okay, this is a big one, and I hope it's not going to hurt anyone's feelings, but the Farmhouse mass-produced wooden signs with the writing on them that say things like blessed or live, laugh, love, or signs that are in your kitchen basically just announcing to the world that this is a kitchen and that we do things like eat food here and drink coffee here or drink wine here or whatever the case may be. The thrift stores are loaded with that stuff if you go down the wood aisle, because people are just donating it and doing something different. So the question becomes, well, what are they into now if they're no longer into the painted signs? And interestingly enough, people are into the more granny cottage core framed embroidery, beautiful cross stitch pieces, And that's what seems to be replacing the painted wooden signs. And of course, people are still buying oil paintings, at least in the area where my antique store is in North Georgia. This is another big one, and I really hope it doesn't hurt anyone's feelings, but chalk painted furniture, chalk painted everything is on the out. And I made a living flipping furniture by chalk painting it, distressing it, and then sealing it. And those pieces were very hot when I had an antique booth where I was flipping furniture to make my rent. That was from 2016 to 2018. Chalk painted furniture, especially in the different shades of gray, are out, and the different shades of white are out. You might still do well with pieces that are painted in a dark, rich color. I have a whole series of videos where I bought an antique buffet at Goodwill and it was in terrible shape. There was no refinishing it. It had to be painted. There was just no saving it. It looked awful. So I painted it in the Rust-Oleum color charcoal, and it was chalk paint. But I think maybe with this rich color that chalk painted items might still sell, but I'm not sure. Now for me, this was a personal choice. I wanted that buffet. I wanted it to replace this Wayfair thing that I had in my dining room, which I didn't like, and it was basically just a piece of junk, and it was broken when it arrived. And I wanted something nice, but I also wanted to get something for a really good deal. So that's why I decided to buy something at Goodwill that I could refinish myself. So what is in, at least where I am located in North Georgia, natural pieces of wooden furniture are in rich, deep, dark brown colors. So primitive is in, French provincial is in rich brown tones of natural wood. And in Atlanta, the big city, mid-century modern furniture is still in the brown natural wood tones. This idea came from an antique dealer at my store who has been in this business for years. He said that Blue Ridge Pottery used to be really hot for him, but that it is just no longer moving. And he also said the Franciscan, both the desert rose and the apple pattern, are not moving like they used to. This is unfortunate because I just bought 13 pieces of Franciscan desert rose. I haven't put them in the booth yet, but I knew that they were a good deal. It was $9 for 13 pieces, and they were all desert rose cups and saucers, so I got them. Apparently, they're just gonna sit when I do get them in the booth. So what is selling instead? Well, what I'm noticing is people really like the Japanese speckled stoneware in the 1970s, groovy patterns. People even like to have them in assorted patterns. They don't all have to be the same. So that's what I want to show you here is a lovely collection of assorted patterned plates in the Japanese speckled stoneware. Also from the same antique dealer, I have taken you on a tour of Don's booth. His partner is his wife, Vicki, and they have several booths and several cases throughout our store. He also said that collectible soda bottles for him used to be a big seller, and now they just aren't moving. However, what still is selling, and I know this because I work the cash register and I see what sells, are collectible coins and 1990s baseball cards with the old pink piece of gum in them. People still buy them. They love to see if they're going to get lucky and get a valuable card in the packs that they purchase. Well, please let me know in the comments if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, or if you are seeing dyeing trends that are different from what I'm seeing in my area of the country. Please let me know all of that in the comments. I really look forward to having a debate in the comments. I learned so much from my viewers. I have learned so much from you in just the past several months because I've had a video that did pretty well the day after Christmas, and it has several thousand comments, and I have learned so much in the comments from that video. I read every single comment and I respond to every single comment. Sometimes I won't respond to a comment if I just didn't know the answer to the question, but other people will jump in and answer the question for me because they know, and so I just let that happen in the comments. And it has become a very interesting community of like-minded people who sell both in antique booths, vintage markets, and who sell online. Well, thank you so much for watching this video today, and as always, I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. Uh-oh, look at my mantle. I'm so busted. I have one. Zoe. Of course she's leaving now. I was gonna say, Zoe loves the snowflake Afghan that I got at that estate sale. Isn't it lovely? She was just making biscuits on it, of course. As soon as I started the camera, she had to leave. Zoe. She came back